Hello, welcome to another episode of the Benchwarmers. I'm Matt, here with my co-host Ryan.
Hey everybody, welcome to the 38th episode. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Benchwarmers06. Subscribe to our podcast on Google Play Music, Apple Podcast, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and YouTube. Also, don't forget we had released a special 37th episode edition with all NBA preview earlier this week, so don't forget to check that out. Also, this week's podcast, again, is being brought to you by the Kidney Boys with a new song coming out next Friday, the 19th. It is called Positive Thinking. Look for it on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and Amazon.
On today's episode, we'll be talking about the MLB Playoffs, NFL Week 5 recap, and Games of the Week for NFL Week 6 and NCAA Week 7. And we'll be finishing off with our favorite topic, Degen Corner.
The Benchwarmers. Alright, so let's get into the MLB playoffs. A couple of my picks aren't looking too great here, Matt. Looks like I don't know what happened. I made some bad picks, like I have all Major League season, I guess. So let's get into the first one. My overall winner and the Cleveland Indians. They didn't show up to play, doesn't look like. What do you think about how they performed in this 3-game sweep by Houston?
Well, I would have to say they clearly played poorly as they didn't win a game. So that's the short version. So I don't know why you thought Cleveland was going to, 1, win the series, 2, win the World Series. Didn't see where you came out with that one, because as I mentioned last week, I mean, Astros are defending champs for a reason. They're a ultra talented team. They got great pitching, great hitting, and they showed it in this ALDS matchup where they just basically massacred the Indians. Honestly, I thought the Indians would show up at least a couple games. I thought they would make it somewhat competitive. I was surprised that it was a sweep. I didn't think that was going to occur because, I mean, at least for your sake, I thought they would win at least one game for you, Ryan. Clearly, they didn't care about you nor your picks, so they're going home.
It was like every other team in Cleveland. They suck.
Hey, at least LeBron won one championship.
Yeah, well, Cleveland just dropped the ball here for me. Yeah, I mean, I know Houston was defending champs. I was just hoping, maybe Cleveland had something in them to at least show up and play. But, I mean, I'm pretty sure the Game 3 that they lost, it was like, a 10-2 final or something like that? Some ridiculous number. You had double digits in a baseball game. I still find that quite utterly ridiculous. The Indians
in a playoff game. In a playoff game.
Utterly ridiculous all the way around. I was very disappointed in how bad they didn't show up, but I shouldn't be surprised. It is an Ohio team, and, well, it's Ohio. No offense to you Ohio people who are out there, but, man, I've been there. I have family out there. I feel sorry for you.
Wow. Do we have fans in Ohio?
I don't know if we do, and I'm apologizing in advance, but like I said, I have family out there. I keep asking them how they live there sometimes, so I'm just putting it out there. So just like the rest of your teams who keep failing you, the Indians have done no better except the fact that they at least made it to the playoffs, but they got destroyed by the Astros. And it was an 11-3 game. My bad. 11-3. Still, double digits, and a playoff game, like Matt said. Terrible. So let's get into a pick that me and Matt both got correct, because at least it makes me feel somewhat better. And I'm talking about the LA Dodgers. They beat up on the Braves in a 4-game series. Too bad that wasn't a sweep. I would have been okay with that. But the Braves did squeak out a win. But the Dodgers finished them off earlier today in a 6-2 victory. Like I said, me and Matt both predicted this. The Dodgers are a very good team. The Braves, they were just in a really poor division all the way around. So the fact that they were able to even make it to the playoffs is really for that reason only. But the Dodgers just showed them who is the better team and beat them in a 4-game series here.
Yeah, I mean, as Ryan and I picked the Dodgers here, I don't feel bad for the Braves as they are a NL East rival of our Phillies. So I'm glad they lost, and I'm glad they lost in the fashion that they did. But, hey, unlike the Indians, they did squeak out a win, so at least they showed like they have some kind of fight, so I got to respect them for that. And Osuna, their budding superstar, in the game that they won, hit a grand slam I believe he's the youngest player to ever hit a grand slam in the playoffs. This guy has, star written all over him. So I'm excited to see what he has in the future. But hey, he was able to go to playoffs, take that team to the playoffs in his rookie year. So clearly you could tell that he has a lot of talent, and he has the ability to bring a team on his back if needed. Of course, the Braves have other people that are good too, but he's clearly the superstar of that team. But I expect, obviously, both Ryan and I expect the Dodgers to win, and they did that in pretty solid fashion.
Yes, they did, and this is also your NLCS winner, and they're looking pretty good. But another team that we both picked, and my NLCS winner, the Milwaukee Brewers, and they had their way with the Colorado Rockies. I at least thought it would have been somewhat of a series, but yeah, Colorado didn't show up at all. They knocked the Cubs out in the play-in game, and then just in the wild card game, and just shit the bed, really. I mean, they were terrible in that series, and Milwaukee was just dominant, as they have been really all season. Milwaukee just destroyed the Colorado Rockies, and it wasn't even a series here. Like I said, I thought it was going to be a better series, but hey, the playoffs are moving along quick. If only they could get, the innings in the regular season to go along, maybe they'll get more fans to watch baseball.
Well, that's another argument for another day, Ryan. The baseball season being 162 games.
I know we've talked about it before. I mean, but these playoffs 3-0, 3-0, 3-1. I mean, just flying by, it seems like.
Oh yeah, the first round is best out of 5, where the CS series becomes best out of 7. So that's the reason why it's quick, especially when there are sweeps. They're even quicker. This series is funny to me only because it reminds me of beer. Because Milwaukee, Miller Lite, Colorado Rockies, Coors Light. Looks like the Rockies drank way too much beer before this series because they got whomped. And they might as well just continue drinking and just stay trashed because it's going to have a long off season. Brewers, led by Ryan Braun, they took care of business. Obviously, Ryan and I also picked this team. Ryan further than I did, but we obviously picked them to go win this round. And I'm excited to see that NLCS between the Dodgers and the Brewers.
Yeah, I think this will be a great series. This should go to 7 games. These two teams have been playing really well all season, especially in the playoffs, as we just mentioned. So it should definitely be a great series to watch here, and more entertaining than the first round definitely was. So let's get into the other series that is not done, but currently another score in a playoff that shouldn't happen. Boston is currently winning in the top of the 7th, 10-1 against the Yankees. Now the series is tied 1-1, so I still have a chance to the Yankees can possibly win this series, because that is who I picked to win this series, as Matt picked Boston here. So I may only be able to come out with only one loss, but it looks like Boston's going to end up beating the Yankees at the end of the day, the same way the Dodgers beat the Atlanta Braves in a 4-game series. I mean, 10-1, that's just appalling to hear, especially from a Yankees team. Some other teams, yeah, but again, we're talking about baseball and the playoffs. You're giving up 10 runs, double digits? Come on now. Like, what's going on here? I said, I can hope that the Yankees can pull out and make this a really good series and take it to game number 5 and make it an actual game. But right now, these games have been no short of whoever is leading is basically kicking butt and not turning around and looking back.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that this game's such a blowout, because this is the first game at Yankee Stadium in this series, so I thought the Yankees would try to defend their home field advantage. Nope, they basically got blown out. Maybe they win Game 4 and force that Game 5, which will be in Boston, but I'm pretty sure my pick of picking Boston is going to be correct. Even if Yankees win Game 4, I think that because of the fact that Boston has that Game 5 at their home field in Fenway, I'm pretty sure they're going to be able to win that game. Especially, I'm pretty sure Chris Sale's going to pitch that game for them, who was the Game 1 pitcher who basically dominated. I expect the Red Sox to be able to close off this series and play the Astros in the ALCS.
I guess we will see, but yeah, I don't see it being any other way. I mean, this is another sad series, really. Hoping for at least, the classic Boston Yankees matchup, and it was just a Boston destruction.
Hey, at least the Yankees won one game, and you could hope they win Game 4 also. So there's a chance. You're not done yet.
At least they didn't get swept like the Indians.
Yep.
Damn Indians. Damn Cleveland.
All right, let's go to some football, Ryan. Let's go to the recaps. First game that we want to talk about, number 19 Texas, number 7 Oklahoma. The Red River Shootout. We expected this game to be close, and there was an upset. Texas pulled a shocker, beat Oklahoma. It was a close one, 48-45. Basically no defense played in this one. A lot of offense. Oklahoma was able to fight back because they were losing by close to 20 points in this game. But we knew they have talent. They led by one of the Heisman candidates, their quarterback. But they didn't have enough, and they lost. Pretty sure they screwed over their chances of making the NCAA playoff because of that, and winning the Big 12 conference. But hey, looks like Texas is finally back. It took them a while, ever since Vince Young took him to the championship in 06, beating USC. Ever since then, Texas has definitely fallen off. But hey, beating Oklahoma in this rivalry game definitely shows you a lot, and we'll see if they're able to continue this momentum. But Ryan, your thoughts on this rivalry game?
Yeah, Oklahoma didn't show up to play at all. But like you said, no team really defensive-wise showed up. I mean, giving up 21 points in a quarter and then turning around and scoring 21 points in a quarter and almost come back to win the game. It's just ridiculous. But, it was, it's what you expected to see with these two rivalries. This team's actually, playing and scoring. Sad. They really have no defense, which is kind of sad to see. But, Oklahoma's definitely is not going to have a playoff game by losing to a 19 seed at that moment. So, it was an interesting game to watch at the beginning. I remember we were talking and you go, man, look at your picks. And I'm like, oh, man, well, that was a bad D-Gen pick. And then Oklahoma, oh, wow, they're coming back. But still lost that pick there. So that was kind of sad on that part as well. So it was an all-around bad game for me because of the D-Gen pick that I made, but also just watching how poorly Oklahoma started off. I thought they were at least going to start off better than that, but they fell apart quick, and they ended up dropping to number 11 in the polls, and this bumped Texas up to the number 9 seed. They made it into the top 10 because of that win. So, congratulations to them on that, if you're looking at the AP polls, I mean.
Speaking of upsets, there was another one in the SEC. Florida, the Gators, pulled off a big one, a stunner, against number 5 at the time, LSU Tigers. Another shocker here, Ryan. I didn't think. I mean, I know Florida was decent, but I thought LSU was way too good. I thought they were going to blow them out, Florida. But no, looks like Florida handled LSU just fine. They did just enough. They won by double digits, and basically, once again, LSU basically knocked out of the playoff contention here because of the SEC. You already have Alabama. It's a powerhouse. They're not going to lose. They're an NFL team. And then you got Georgia.
They only lost by 8, not double digits.
Okay. Wait, really?
It was 27-19.
It was. Oh, I read it as 13. Never mind. But either way, they were the favorites, and they lost.
And wasn't that your D-Gen pick?
What, LSU?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
So, both highlight games to talk about here, people. We made some really bad D-Gen picks at the end of the day because both teams that we thought were going to show up did not show up. And, like I said, LSU, I thought we were going to handle them, and that Florida wasn't going to be able to handle it, but they handled them and handled them pretty well. They ended up, the fourth quarter where they ended up exploding and turning up the heat to get that W at the end of the day. And like I said, that bumped Florida. Florida actually stayed in the 14. LSU bumped all the way down to a 13 seed on that. So
what do you mean they stayed at 14?
Florida went from a 22 to a 14 seed.
Yeah.
And LSU dropped all the way down to the 13 seed with that loss, or in the AAP poll. So, there's LSU's out. So right now the 4 teams you have there for that playoff spot, are the same 4 that basically started the season off.
Moving on to the NFL, one of our big games that we talked about last week was the Jaguars and the Chiefs. And as we expected, we thought that the Chiefs offense would score a lot of points because it's what they do. Mahomes, surprisingly, did not have a passing touchdown, but he did have a rushing touchdown. Still, that's what he does. The guy just scores, passing, rushing, doesn't matter. And we thought the Jaguars defense would be able to control them or at least hold them to under, 20 points. Nope, not going to happen. Chiefs scored 30. Jaguars offense, they don't have enough. Blake Bortles continues to be Blake Bortles. He's way too up and down. Leonard Fournette was hurt, didn't play. TJ Yeldon, he's serviceable as a backup. He did what he could do, but at the end of the day, Jaguars they don't have enough firepower to play with the Chiefs, and the Chiefs stay undefeated. Ryan, your thoughts on this one?
Well, we expected it to be a offense-defense shootout, and Jacksonville's defense didn't show up. I agree with you there. And listen, not a fan of Bortles, but the man did throw for 430 yards. He also did that with 61 attempts, though.
61.
He was 33 for 61, all right? This man had to throw the ball ridiculous because they refused to run the ball because they had nobody. I mean, isn't that why you have second and third and fourth string guys to at least try? Apparently not if you're Jacksonville. Let your quarterback throw 61 times. 430 yards, still 61 times is utterly ridiculous here.
That's a lot of attempts for a mediocre quarterback.
That's what I'm taken back by it. With 14 points, he had 430 yards, but 61 times, this man's going to be half dead in 2 weeks with his arm. I mean, he's not going to be able to do any more at that. 61 attempts, that's what he's going to average. It's just insane.
Yeah, his arm's going to fall off.
It will. I mean, you just can't do that every week in and week out and expect your quarterback to actually survive to even make it to the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, shockingly, the defense actually didn't show up for Jacksonville. I feel as much as they have been, that great defensive team, and how we talked about them, in last week's podcast. They kind of just dropped the ball here and let the Chiefs just run all over them and get the passes in where they can. I mean, Travis Kelce had 5 receptions for 100 yards. Just 5. He'd have to catch the ball 33 times. They had to catch the ball 10 times. He caught it 5 times for 100 yards. So their defense just really just gave up at the end of the day here.
Moving on to a game that I'm very sad about. The rematch of the NFC Championship game did not go the way that it did last year. The Eagles, my home team, basically didn't show up. They must be still in their Super Bowl hangover because the Vikings put a whooping on them. Adam Thielen, we couldn't stop him. They didn't have Dalvin Cook as a running back. It didn't matter. The Eagles offense looked pathetic. Jay Ajayi, our running back, tore his ACL, which is always wonderful. And they're saying that we don't even want to look at Le'Veon Bell. It's like, what? Our running back just tore his ACL. Why don't we go for one of the best running backs in the game? No, we're cool with what we got. So yeah, I'm pretty depressed over this one. The Eagles are 2-3 now. I don't know how to feel about this, but hey, on the bright side, Cowboys are also 2-3 because they're garbage too. But hey, Ryan, go ahead. You can talk. Go ahead.
Well, I was excited that the Eagles lost, and then turn around to watch the Cowboys lose in overtime to the Texans. Yeah, that wasn't fun. So, our division is basically trash. It's garbage.
It's hot garbage. Hot garbage. It stinks.
Yeah, it's horrific. That's really the only words I can use here. I mean,
honestly, the division winner in the NFC East might win 7 games. That's how bad it is.
And that's being generous right now. I mean, the Redskins are currently playing. We're recording this on Monday night, and they're currently playing and getting destroyed.
Mollywopped.
by the Saints right now. So they're basically, the Redskins are going to go to 2-2 because they had their bye last week. So the Redskins are 2-2. The Cowboys are 2-3. The Eagles are 2-3. And 2 of those games the Cowboys should have won. The Eagles definitely could have won 2 of those wins. They actually came back in this game to try and win the game. And just to put in perspective, by the way, I said 61 for Bortles. Wentz had 35 attempts, had 24 of them to complete, and had 311 yards with 2 touchdowns, by the way. So, again, he still was able to do something. It didn't happen until the fourth quarter, which is kind of where the problem lies there. But again, 35-61. So I'm going to point out both teams still lost. Again, I'm happy that the Eagles lost. It's not my team, but at the end of the day, this division is just straight garbage. And the Eagles decided to not do what they did to the Vikings in the playoffs last year like they did. And they ended up blowing this game by just playing straight horrific at home, by the way. This wasn't even in Minnesota. This was at home like the game was in the playoffs last year, and they just didn't show up. They still were sleeping, taking a nap after their we're the Super Bowl champs. That's all you hear you Eagles fans talk about. Well, listen,
I mean, we
you guys,
are. It's a fact.
Guys, and it's not going to be nowhere near a Super Bowl at all this year. And you can stop talking about it. We still have 5 as Dallas Cowboys fans here. So, you're 1 to our 5. Doesn't matter when you last won it.
It doesn't now.
You got to be able to play.
I like how you preface that. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. All right, so let's jump into games of the week to look for this week. We're going to start it off with the NFL, and the only NFL game that we actually think is worth watching, and that is the New England Patriots against the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs. This should be a good game. I'm actually rooting for the Chiefs to destroy the Patriots. Personal vendetta, I don't know what you want to say. I still hate Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. So, yeah, I'm looking for the Chiefs to destroy them. But this should be a really good game, in all honesty. The Patriots seem to be somewhat back to a little bit of a form. So, I think that they've found where their errors have been, and they're starting to come together a little bit. And, they have an opportunity to give the Chiefs their first loss. Do I think it will happen? Actually, in all honesty, no. Not because I don't like the Patriots or anything. I just don't think that they can stop the Chiefs right now. I think the Chiefs are on a roll, and they're going to continue down this one, and will end up beating the Patriots by at least a touchdown, if not more.
I disagree wholeheartedly.
Well, why would you agree with me? We never agree on anything, really.
I mean, beginning of the season, the Patriots looked like crap, and everyone said the Patriots were done. Brady's done. Belichick's done. Everyone's horrible. They should all quit. And here they go. The last 2 weeks, they step it up. They look like the Patriots that we always know. And this is the game that Belichick circled on his calendar. He loves proving a point. And this is the Chiefs, the undefeated Chiefs, with the unstoppable offense by Mahomes, Hill, Hunt. Belichick, the great defensive mastermind, would love nothing but to stop this great Chiefs offense and prove his point once again how great of a legend he is. So that's why, due to the fact that Bill Belichick, like the Cowboys, are 5-time Super Bowl champions, he is going to once again prove that he is a great coach. I wouldn't say shut down. I don't think you can shut it down because of today's game, the rules in the NFL. It's almost impossible to shut down any offense. But I think that they'll be able to hold them to a reasonable score. And because now that Edelman is back, Josh Gordon looks like he's has some rhythm with Tom Brady, I think that the Patriots will give the Kansas City Chiefs their first loss of the year.
Okay, fair assumption there. So again, like I said, that's the only NFL game we think that we feel is worth taking a look at. These next games are going to be in the NCAA football, and we're first going to talk about the number 2 Georgia taking on number 13 LSU. LSU, like we said last week, thought they were going to prove out and do something, and they didn't, and they kind of just dropped the ball. They need to come back this week if they want even a chance to even be looked at by beating Georgia here. You beat Georgia, knock them out of that number 2 spot, and you can possibly put yourself in a playoff possibility. It's a very small likelihood that you can get there. You probably have to win out the rest of the season, and you got to beat these guys pretty solidly. I don't see it happening, although it is. I just don't see it happening. No matter what, Georgia's undefeated. I don't see LSU being a team after what we saw LSU do last week. I just don't see them competing against Georgia, but this should be a pretty close game, I feel.
Yeah, I can't see Georgia losing this game. I mean, as we mentioned from the beginning, Georgia is a powerhouse. They have way too much talent, which I thought LSU had a lot of talent also. So that loss last week really, really surprised me, like I said before. But, I mean, I think it's going to be really close, which I'll discuss in my Degen Corner. But I think Georgia's going to win, and it's going to basically put them in that stronghold for that playoff position. Because, once again, I think there's going to be 2 SEC teams in the playoffs. One being Alabama, who just murders everyone. Like, literally murders everyone every week. They win by 400 points. It's not even fair sometimes. Like, I look at the score, and it's like, this can't be true. This can't be real, what they're doing to teams. But it is. It is. They just murder people. Yeah. I have nothing more to say. Alabama.
Facts there. All facts. So, the other game we're going to get into is a Big Ten matchup, and that is number 15 Wisconsin going up against number 12 Michigan. These two teams, ranking-wise, are evenly matched. I think Michigan has a better team here. It's in Michigan Stadium, so I feel that Michigan will take this game, and it'll be an easy win for them, I think. But being that it is a Big Ten matchup, it shouldn't be. But we've seen games that we said shouldn't be close, and they should be close, and they weren't. And games that shouldn't be close and they were close. So I feel this one is. I feel Michigan should walk away with this, as I don't think Wisconsin has as many weapons that they need that can compete with Michigan here.
Interesting pick and reasoning there, Ryan.
Always interesting when I make random thoughts.
I don't think Michigan is that talented. I mean, they're okay. They're a mediocre team. Wisconsin, if I'm not wrong, I believe you picked their running back to be Heisman.
I know I picked him to be the Heisman, but that's all they have, and I just feel that Michigan's a better team. I know exactly who I picked.
I'm just saying, if Wisconsin loses this one, he ain't winning Heisman.
I still think my guy's a better chance than yours. He hasn't done much at all this year.
Yeah, but Stanford, they blow too. I'm not gonna lie. Both these teams blow in the grand scheme of things, and neither of our guys really have a chance. Let's be real here.
This is very true.
Pretty sure Alabama's quarterback's gonna win Heisman because once again they murder everyone, and he goes for 4 touchdowns every week. So yeah. So both Bryce Love and Jonathan Taylor ain't winning. They ain't winning.
Nope, it's definitely not looking that way at all.
But yeah, I think this game is going to be closer than what Ryan thinks. I think Wisconsin's going to play tough. Once again, they're bitter rivals here, Michigan, Wisconsin. Granted, it is in Michigan, so they do have that edge. But I think Wisconsin's going to try to play great defense and try to control the ball by running the game with Taylor. And I think he's going to be able to at least get 150 yards rushing. And I think they're going to pull off. Can you call it an upset? It's really 12-15. It's not even an upset, but I'll call that a big win. Wisconsin winning in Michigan.
Shocking. We don't agree on a game. So the last game that we feel is definitely a good one to watch is number 7 Washington taking on number 17 Oregon. This is a Pac-12 matchup here. Both teams have one loss. Washington to a better team, I feel, than Oregon. Washington is a better ranked team. I think Washington actually is a better team all the way around. They have, they have Gaskin, they have Fuller at the receiving. I mean, I think they have a better team. Their quarterback, I don't really have much to say. I mean, he's doing pretty good. He's got 9 touchdowns this season. I don't think it's going to be as close as what I've seen on the books. I think that Washington, even though it's in Oregon and it can be tough to play in Oregon, in Eugene, Oregon, being that it is Oregon, and it's tough to play anywhere.
Thanks for specifying.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. It's tough. It's tough for any team in college when you're playing away from home, when you have, the college crowd cheering the way they do. I've been to some games. It's just crazy to see. But I think that Washington is definitely a way better team, and that this won't be a very close game at all. Just like I said, I think Washington is a whole better team, and the team they lost to, they should have won that game against Auburn, and I'm still kind of upset about that.
Yeah, I got Oregon solely because of the reason what Ryan already discussed. The home field advantage, especially in Oregon. They're a raucous crowd. They love college football there in Oregon. Well, they don't have NFL football, so what else you gonna love? And due to that home field advantage, and Washington, I think they're a good team, but obviously I think they have flaws. So does Oregon, but I think at the end of the day, Oregon wins because of the home field advantage, and that's why I think they're gonna pull the upset. And I think the Pac-12 is all screwed up. You got a bunch of random teams there. I think all the teams in the Pac-12 are basically equal. I don't think there's one better than the other there. So I'll be intrigued to see how it all plays out for the rest of the year.
This is the Degen Corner.
All right, on to our favorite part of the podcast, Ryan. And sometimes I wonder why we do this, because it makes us look like idiots most of the time.
Especially last week's.
Yeah, Degen Corner. Last week, both Ryan and I 1-2, getting our grand total 6-6. Both of us. We're pretty consistent on how horrible we are. So my picks for this week, I kind of mentioned them as we were talking about the games of the week. I have LSU +7 against Georgia. Like I mentioned, I think LSU just is going to be able to keep it close. Even though I think Georgia's going to win the game, I think they're going to be able to keep it, a touchdown or under. Oregon +3 in Washington, or against Washington, sorry. I think like I mentioned, I think they're going to win outright. I don't think they need the points, but I'll take it. +3. And my lone NFL Degen pick comes from Tennessee. Got the Titans +3 against the Ravens, who look like utter garbage. They lost to the Cleveland Browns last week. I have no respect for them. You can't lose to the Cleveland Browns. So, Titans +3. Ryan, your picks for this week.
Man, hating on the Browns. God.
You hate on Cleveland earlier.
No. I hate on the entire state of Ohio. Get it right. So, for my picks, I'm going with Penn State at a -13.5 against Michigan State.
That's a lot of points, my friend.
It is. I feel that, Penn State's got something to come back to that terrible, terrible loss to Ohio a couple weeks back. I feel that, again, Michigan State going into this week was ranked before this past weekend ended, and now they're not ranked. So I feel that Penn State's just going to continue to beat up on MSU just like they were just beat up on. So I'm taking Penn State with the -13.5. I think they will destroy MSU. My next pick, we had talked about it earlier, but I'm changing it up. With the points, I don't know why, but I'm going with Michigan at a -7.5 versus Wisconsin here. I think that, like I said earlier, I think Michigan has the better team, so I'm taking Michigan to win that one. And then for my lone NFL pick, I have the Bucks at a +3.5 against the Falcons.
You think Jameis is going to save you? Jameis Winston's going to save you?
He's going to save. Falcons are just trash, so I'm going with Jameis Winston to save me, and maybe I can go 3-0 this week. That's my hope, really, at the end of the day.
Probably not.
I said hope. I didn't say what happened, but the way we've been picking, hey, it's not looking good for either of us.
Yep. So to reiterate, I have LSU, Oregon, and the Titans.
and I have Penn State, Michigan, and the Bucks. All right, let's get into hot topics. And I decided to choose for my hot topic a fight between Marcus Smart and J.R. Smith. Yes, talk about two idiots. We've had J.R. Smith in our hot topics in previous podcasts. You've been listening with his whole tortilla soup incident with coaches. Well, now he's fighting on the court with players and getting fined and all that kind of stuff. And both these guys got ejected. Again, it's kind of a joke. But, I respect what Smart did. He retaliated for what Smith did to one of his players. But Smart is that hothead that he's an okay player, but he's still an idiot. And I think he's one of the issues that it's not a real good player that they have in Boston in his grand scheme of things. But Smart was fined for $25,000 for escalating the fight, whereas Smith was only fined for $15,000 for pushing Baines to start the fight for the initial altercation. Like I said, I respect Smart for protecting his teammates. Someone comes after one of my guys on the court, I'm going back at you. Someone's going when me and Matt play, and someone's going at somebody else, like someone goes after him. I got his back no matter what at the end of the day, and people are gonna either hate me or love me at the end of the day. I don't really care. You just don't pull that kind of crap on the court, and so like I said, I respect him for going back at him. But again, these two guys just get into an altercation, both get ejected and fined, and I wish they were handing that money back down to me at the end of the day.
Yeah, are we really fighting in preseason basketball? Is that
Apparently
what's happening
so.
now? This is a joke. Granted, Smart and JR are two idiots like Ryan mentioned, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised at all. And the reasoning is understandable. I get all that. But fighting in the preseason seems ridiculous. This should not be occurring. It's preseason. This is where you basically get tuned up. You just work on your game, bro. You have a couple weeks till the season starts. You shouldn't be even thinking about fighting. But these guys are two guys who are very intense during games. One could argue their head is rarely in the game. JR doesn't even know what score it is. So, really, I should not be questioning this at all. But, yeah. I don't know what more to say about this. This makes no sense to me. So if this is any kind of precursor, I guess we should be able to see a lot of fights through the regular season too with these two idiots. With my hot topic this week, I'll be talking about the class act, the quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, who broke the passing record, Drew Brees, a true star. A lot of people thought once he had shoulder surgery, when he played for the Chargers, that he could have a short career in the NFL. But he was able to revive himself when he went to New Orleans and when he got connected with the coach Sean Payton, and he's been lighting it up year after year. 4,000, 5,000 passing yards a year, no problem. This guy, he's barely as tall as I am, but one of the best quarterbacks I've seen, and clearly Hall of Famer, and he broke Peyton Manning's career passing yardage record. I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to break the touchdown record soon also. Hey, this guy, I have nothing but good things to say about Drew Brees. You don't hear anything bad about him ever. He's a family man, a great quarterback, a great leader. And this is the guy that kids should look up to as a role model. Kind of feel bad for Peyton Manning. He held on to that record for a very short period of time, only like a couple of years, and boom, Drew Brees broke it already. But hey, at the end of the day, Drew Brees, class act. Congratulations on breaking that record.
Man, my MVP pick this year and breaking records already. Only 5 weeks in and continuing to go. Like I said, it's a class act. It's great to see. Congratulations to him, and he, more than likely will end up breaking the touchdown record. later this year. I mean, the way he's going against Redskins, he could end up doing it, at the end of this game. I mean, they just keep just letting the score go up. But yeah, no, I mean, it's great to see. It's hard. It's sad to see that Manning held it for a very short time, being as he is a great quarterback in his own right as well. But Breeze has been putting it all out there for so long too, and congratulations to him and what he's done to be back in contention. And the team's not doing good, but hey, he's still throwing the ball fantastic.
That's all we have for this week's podcast of the Benchwarmers. Once again, subscribe to our podcast on Google Play, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter at Benchwarmers06. And like Ryan mentioned at the beginning of the episode, if you haven't listened to our NBA preview, please listen to episode 37 to get ready for the NBA season. See you guys next week.
The Benchwarmers.